What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another video. This is gonna be a special video because today I'm gonna go over my first cameras. So I wanted to do this video to go over some of the first or basically all the cameras that I've had in my whole life. So the first camera I had was actually, and I gotta look at my phone because I don't have it anymore, unfortunately, and I've been very tempted to buy it on Amazon just because it was my first camera. So I could buy it on Amazon for $32, and for that price, it kind of makes you think it's kind of old. So my first camera was called a Kodak EasyShare C875 8 megapixel camera with 5 times optical zoom. So this camera was actually, I could even say even to this day, probably one of my favorite cameras ever. Because of that camera, I kind of fell in love with film. So I remember the camera, and I'll put some pictures up on here. And this camera was actually pretty cool for the time. At the time, digital cameras were just coming out, so they weren't like the most advanced technology, but at the time they were pretty advanced for what they were. So this camera was actually pretty cool. It had a digital optical zoom. It also had video, and you could take pictures. And think about it, 8 megapixels at the beginning of digital cameras. If you think about it now, it's probably not the best image quality, but it did the job at the time. So, and funny story with this camera, I would take pictures of it, and then in high school I had a class with it, and this camera, I took some cool pictures. I took some pictures of my sister's graduation and just some random stuff. I just took pictures of, I remember I took some pictures of some Fruit Loops. I put some sugar basically all over the floor, and I just put some Fruit Loops all around. I took some pictures, and that picture was actually pretty cool. I wish I still had it, but that's long gone now. But this camera was actually the camera that made me fall in love with film. So I remember that back in high school, I took a digital photography class with this camera, and one of the assignments was to basically take pictures with the camera, take some cool pictures, and I did that. So I took it back to the teacher, and for some reason, this teacher thought that I didn't take my pictures, and maybe it's because they were that good at the time, but she really thought that I didn't take the pictures. She really thought I stole those pictures, and I'm like, I took these pictures. So maybe the teacher was crazy or she didn't believe me, but I honestly took those pictures. And if she didn't want to believe me, sucks for her. I ended up failing the class. I don't know why. If my pictures were that good that they were assumed to be not mine. But anyway, that was my first camera. So, that's the camera that started it all. And I even did a video, and if I find it, I'll just put a little snippet on here. We'll see if I find it or not.
Well, this is me and my friend Epi here, and DJ Makes It. We're walking around the city right now, see if we can find some girls, but unfortunately, we haven't found any yet, but we will not give up. Hitting a tree will help us a lot.
But yeah, that was the that was the first video I really ever made. Maybe I'll drop the links down in the description if you want to see them. I don't know why you would want to. They're really bad, but I mean, the next camera that I had, it was so this Insignia right here. If you can see that Insignia, it's a HD DV8 HDMI. So these cameras had HD. This one actually has a LCD flip screen. So like, I mean, that's pretty cool for the time. I mean, cameras have come a long way, and even now, my newest camera that I have now does not have a flippy screen. So I don't know what's going on with technology, but this camera does have a flip screen. And this camera, I still have the plastic, if you can see. I haven't taken off the plastic, and I'm never gonna take off the plastic because it's just it deserves to be on there for the rest of my life. So, but this camera does video and pictures, and it does have a microphone. I mean, this camera is nothing too crazy. Basically just took video. But with this camera, I mean, I filmed some other stupid stuff that maybe I'll put up here, and you could just see a little snip of what I filmed with it. And this was at a young age, so don't judge me too much. I've gotten a lot better. But yeah, this is an Insignia digital HDMI camera. I mean, nothing too crazy about it. You can't do much, but it does the job. It did the job, and I had fun with it. The next camera I had after that was actually a Samsung camera. Now I stepped it up a little bit with this one. You can see that. Even has a little handle. Whoop, whoop. And this one does have a flip screen as well. So at the time, it didn't exist, but if you wanted to, you could do some vlogs. Do some vlogs. But this camera stepped it up a notch from this one. This one actually had HD 1080p. Now 1080p was kind of newer at that time. There was 4K around, but it was expensive. Anything that had to do 4K, it was expensive at the time. But yeah, this camera had it actually had autofocus, which was actually pretty cool. And you could also take a picture on there if you wanted to. And it had digital zoom, wide, and also it had, so let's see, it had a f1.8. I mean, that's pretty cool. My lens right now, which was, you don't even want to know how much, but just that has a f4, so an aperture of f4. So I mean, lenses, you can get more expensive lenses that have better lower apertures, but more money. So yeah, this was my first full HD 1080p camera, and I'll put a little snippet if I find it of some videos that I've taken with this. So yeah, that was another one that I did, and this actually was the cause of a lot of fun times. And as time went on, I kept getting a little better and a little better. But yeah, this was one of my favorite ones. Now move on to the next one. Now I even stepped it up even more. This was kind of at the rise, maybe a couple years after the rise of DSLRs and film. So I got this Nikon D3300. Now this camera is also a 1080p camera. It does not take 4K, unfortunately, but this was more of a entry-level camera at the time. I guess for beginners, you can say, but it's actually a good camera. It has this kit lens has 18 to 55 millimeters, so it's pretty wide. It's not too bad. And then it also has autofocus and manual focus switch and an image stabilization. So pretty cool. And I mean, not even that long. This was like my camera for years. I've not maybe stopped using it last year. So this was actually one of my favorite cameras. Now this kind of steps it up, and if you're using this, you kind of get to learn more about how cameras work compared to these cameras. Like these, you have manual controls and everything. And this is also a good photography camera. And for the time, it was actually a pretty decent camera. But when this camera came out, things started to change in the industry. There was like a rapid increase in new technology, and DSLR started coming out with 4K and everything. So this is actually one of my favorite cameras even till now. And it's still in good condition. I probably will never sell it because it's not worth that much, and it's just good memories. I had a lot of fun with this camera too. I'll post a little snippet of the video that I've done, maybe I don't know, maybe one video that I've done with this, and yeah, it was not bad. It was fun. So then I kind of stepped it up a lot because I got another camera, and I actually wanted to do more professional quality work with this new camera that I purchased, which is the Sony a7 III. I don't think I've done a video about it, but yeah, this is what's being filmed on right now, the Sony a7 III. So this is the Sony a7 III. I got the Zeiss 24 to 70 millimeter zoom lens. I got some other attachments on it, nothing too crazy. But yeah, this is kind of, I stepped it up with this one and made it more professional. And yeah, I mean, this is my Sennheiser MK400 shotgun mic. It's pretty cool. But I mean, if you guys want to see another video of me kind of going over some of the equipment I have right now, I can do that too. So yeah, those are some of the cameras that I had throughout my whole camera career. The most important thing I've learned from having all these cameras is that it's not the quality of the cameras. It's not the most expensive cameras, because most of these cameras were not really that expensive. But what you do learn or what I learned the most from having these cameras is to have fun. And I mean, just the simplest rule you can follow is to have fun with what you're using. Learn from it, learn how to use it to its max potential. It can be hard sometimes, maybe not with this one. You can kind of figure out how to use this one pretty easy, but I mean, just have fun with it. Make some films. It doesn't have to be good. Over time, you'll get better. You'll learn more. You'll learn how to do better cinematography, better camera angles, better everything, and you'll get better with more practice. But the main rule is that I like to follow is to have fun. Having fun is the most important thing when you're filmmaking. So yeah, that's the video for this week. Nothing too crazy. If you guys want to see more videos like this, and if you want to see me do a video about some of the gear that I have and go over some of the equipment I have, then drop a like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.